Hey guys, welcome to week 3. I'm excited about continuing our semester, and now that we're starting to really move into writing and really getting those mindsets that you're going to need in order to be successful for the remainder of this semester in your writing assignments, as well as in your other classes and pretty much through your college career. This week, we are doing some chapters out of part 4 and part 5. Please look at your syllabus for week 3 to give you that information, okay? We'll say that with you here. I'm not going to go through everything. Honestly, the book does a great job of explaining what each one of these concepts are, so you do need to read through them. Remember that you will have a quiz at the end of this week on this material, so please make sure that you are familiar with it. Something specific for discussion boards this week, you will need the logical fallacies piece of this, where you will need to know that information in order to complete that assignment. Do not wait to the last minute. It is a lot more in depth than our normal discussion boards. There is some work that has to be done. And because of that, the point value is 40, not 20. And I did that purposely. So please make sure that you are working diligently on that. Please make sure that you read the instructions and that you give me what I'm asking for. Remember, if I'm asking for it, I'm looking for it. And if it's not there, I can't give you full credit for it, okay? Also, please be very careful with your due dates. Remember that your initial thread is due Wednesday evening by 11:59, and your 2 reply threads to classmates is due by Sunday evening, 11:59. Coming out of these first 2 weeks, some of you guys cannot afford to miss another opportunity with assignments. Please respect your due dates. I am getting a little concerned with some of you guys with not turning in some work. I can't grade what I don't have, and I've told you this all along. I love you guys, but if you do not respect your due dates, if I go in the day after and zeros go in, and even if you decide to take an assessment or turn something in after that, it's still going to remain a 0. And I'm doing that for you. I'm holding you accountable. If I went ahead and graded it, that's really enabling a bad behavior of not meeting deadlines. And so we really need to start shifting our mindsets to giving what's being required, knowing what's being required, and respecting the parameters of the requirements. Okay. All right, so this week we are starting with chapter 25 in part 4. It's called Smart Reading. Basically what this is you engaging with what you are reading. And it gives different concepts, recalling the basics, read to deepen what you know, read above your level of knowledge, read what makes you feel uncomfortable. This is going to be very important when we get into arguments, and anything where you're needing to have different perspectives. And we've talked about that before. As you are still growing your personal ideology and how you think about things, it's very difficult to make those decisions if you haven't got all the information. And all the information includes different perspectives of different things. So that's very important. I want you to challenge yourself. Reading and skimming are not the same thing. Just because your eyes have covered words does not mean that you have retained them. This chapter is about teaching you how to engage with what you're reading, giving you some helpful hints and skills in order to do that, to get the most out of what you're reading. Okay, so definitely this is such an important little chapter. Ask questions, and it's okay. If you're reading credible work, and obviously they are probably professionals and could be, the top of their field, and that's fine, and that's great, and that's who I want you to read. But it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything, okay? Agreement is not a requirement. What you're doing is you are seeking knowledge and you're trying to get some questions answered for yourself. And if it doesn't sit right, write a note. Why not? What did their research say? Could you find something that counters it? Asking questions is so important, and you will hear me say that a lot because I'm a question person. And when I'm reading your stuff, if questions come up, I'm going to probably write them down. Well, what about this? Okay, so just be really careful with that. Chapter 26 is critical thinking. Okay, this is so important. In critical thinking, there's two main concepts, and it's claims and evidence. Okay, so claims are also what we call assertions. You are making a statement about something, and that's fine. You could have done some research and you have some thoughts on it, and you want to share them. I want you to share them, and that's great. That's what we call a claim. But this is the other piece of it, especially with research, especially in academia. What's your evidence of why you are making that claim? If you just make a claim and you don't have anything to back it up, then it really is pointless. I cannot tell you how many times I've written on papers, where's your evidence? I need evidence of this. Because it just becomes your opinion. And where your opinion is okay in some, I do want your opinion. I do want how you respond to things. But when you're doing research, it has to be grounded in solid, credible research. And you have to be able to have that. You have to have that. If you don't, it's very difficult for people to be in agreement with you. And you really, all this is about having the reader engage with what you're saying. And a lot of times you do want them to agree with you. You're educating them and you're responding. And of course you want agreement. But it's very difficult for people to even consider agreement if you don't have all the facts. Claims and evidence go together all the time. Without both, it becomes flat and it goes nowhere. Hint, hint, hint. You want to know that. We've talked about that. Okay. In chapter 26, that's where we get into the logical fallacies. In fact, it's on page 329 through 331, and there's quite a few. You need to know what they are. They're just different tactics that are used. The thing is that it really is a two-way street. People use them to us, and it can be politicians. It can be when you go to the store and you're salespeople. Hello, logic fallacies. They're used in everyday life. Be very careful with them in your writing because it will offend someone, and they'll see right through it. It's almost like a bullying tactic where they're like you're trying to get something over on them, and you don't want to do that. Some of these, and I do need to let you know, especially in your discussion board this week, you'll have more than one, and a lot of these piggyback one another. Because one of these is like the scare tactic. Well, if you're using ad hominems and slippery slope arguments and bad bandwagon appeals, they kind of end in, well, you got to do this or this horrible thing is going to happen. And be very careful with that. People may not tell you up front. And for those of you who are going into professions where, because I've got some people who want to go into law, they may not call you on it, but they'll remember it, and it will give you the opposite effect of what you are desiring. So again, it's not just what we're receiving, but it's also what we're giving out. This really is a two-way. We do it. I think that we do this unconsciously sometimes. Sometimes it is consciously, but it does go both ways. And so one of the things is recognizing it. As a consumer, you want to recognize it so you don't get taken. But as a writer, you don't want to do these things because it really will end up in offending your reader, and you will have lost any opportunity of that engagement, continuing the academic conversation, which is what all this is about to begin with, any type of persuasion or anything. So you definitely want to know that. All right, so now we're going to shift over to chapter 28, strategies of development. This is how you're developing your project. And again, these are just ideas. This is not the begin and end all for or tactics that you use. All of these chapters, and the reason that I group them together, because they all deal with engagement of material that you're reading. Everything that we do goes down to the content. It's not how someone's writing it, by the way. In fact, I never want to hear, well, the author wrote this in such an eloquent fashion. I don't care. I don't care about the author. No offense. I'm sure he or she is a great person, but it's about the content. It's about the support. It's about the credibility of it. That is what is important. We will be talking about ethos, pathos, and logos. Those things are very important. Ethos is credibility, and it's not just with credibility of who's writing it, but it's the material. That there's a lot of things that go under what makes something credible. And so you want to be very careful and think about a lot of these things, and just some strategies. A lot of you, this is new. It is a new type of writing that you've done, and that's okay. And we're going to work through this together. Again, it's about getting this information out to you, getting your feet wet, getting you familiar with terms and concepts. So as we go into our next writing project, which will be next week, we will be doing a synthesis. And next week, you're going to be writing your first paper for me. So excited. So again, you're going to a lot of these concepts you will be utilizing. Okay. All right. So going over to chapter 32, overcoming writer's block happens all the time. And there's just some strategies that you can do. I'm going to tell you right now, especially with academic writing, preparation. What I affectionately call it, grunt work. If you get all your material and you organize it logically, honestly, you don't really have writer's block as much. You get it out there and then you just start wordsmithing it. But I'm going to tell you, outlines are going to be extremely important, and we will be going over that. Actually, we'll start that process next week of really how to create those outlines, make them work for you. So definitely read through that. Ooh, set manageable goals, create a calendar, break a project into parts. As your final project, you're going to be working on it 2 to 3 weeks before the end of the semester. These skills become very important, but not just for this project, for school. Limit your distractions. Do parts that you like first. Some classes you're going to like more than others. So that's more for writing. Write a zero draft. I think that was an interesting concept. It is kind of like free writing, but free writing we're using it to find ideas. Whereas with zero draft, you already have your ideas, you already have your information. You're just trying to figure out how to get the thing started. And so sometimes just start writing and then go back and then you start moving things around and wordsmithing it. So definitely know each one of those. They're in, I think, reddish orange. Definitely know all of those and what those concepts are. Style. We've actually talked a little bit about this. You want to know this. Now, this is the kicker on this. Chapter 33 starts on 368. It starts with high style. There are 3 styles of writing: high, medium, low. High is academic writing. When you write papers for me, this is what you will be using. It is in third person. It is in a formal tone. There are some bullet points. Hint, hint, hint. You want to know those. Going to page 370, 371, medium style writing. That's what you use for some of your academic things. Medium style, think about your discussion boards. And again, I need for you to really think about your discussion boards. I've been kind of lenient on some of the verbiage. I have made some comments, capitalizing the personal pronoun I. Be very careful. Never put you for YOU or you are for YOUR ever. Please eradicate that from any written material for the rest of your life, please. I need words. That's what we did the grammar for. That's why we had those refreshers of, sentence structure and really what that looks like. Let your writing have purpose. Some of you guys need to read your discussion boards out loud exactly the way that you've written it, because I'm pretty sure if some of you guys have done that, you would have rephrased some things. It shouldn't be one long paragraph, especially if there's multiple pieces and parts and multiple questions, which I will always have in your discussion boards. So just be really careful with that. Think about what you're saying and how you're saying it and how you want to present it. Okay, so that medium style is your discussion boards, but this is kind of like your friendly reminder. Even though the content is yours, how you are presenting it to me is mine, and that's how you kind of need to look at it. I am grading that because I am trying to shift you guys and how are you presenting yourself through written communication, and so you don't want to lose points for things like that. If I have already made a comment, Please be very mindful, which means I'm looking at that. And if I'm seeing the same mistakes over and over again after I have brought it to your attention, it could affect your grade. So be very careful with that. For that medium style, the bullet points are on page 371. You want to know that. Low style, that's more for like friendly emails. It's very casual in nature. Again, the bullet points there. And you can read through that. I don't need to read that for you. All right, going into chapter 34, clear and vigorous writing. Always consider the big picture in applying the following tips. Work with whole pages and paragraphs, not just individual sentences. Remember, too, that these are guidelines, not rules. Ignore them when your good sense suggests a better alternative. And you want to read that. Building sentences around specific and tangible subjects. Again, all this goes down to organization, getting your information, organizing in a logical manner. Do not discount logic. And how would you need something logically explained to you? Look for opportunities to use specific nouns and noun phrases rather than general ones. They give you a bunch of examples. Please read through those. They even give you examples of sentences that are really wordy. Some of you guys have actually brought to my attention, or through the discussion boards, I have run on sentences and how do I fix that. This is a great chapter for those of you who are trying to economize your writing a little bit, getting to the point and continuing to move on without drawing it out to where people don't want to read. So again, really look at this. Avoid doublings, avoid strings and prepositional phrases. Now I did that for grammar because I'm trying to teach it, but there's truth there. Do not repeat. Oh, this is one I do need to highlight. Repetitive words or phrases. We've already talked about this. When you have repetitive words or phrases that you're using them all the time, you are shifting the focus of your writing to the redundant word rather than the content, rather than the stuff that needs to be read. I get this a lot, and I will usually my edit is be very careful of redundant words or phrases. What I'll usually do when I'm editing, I'll start highlighting the redundant words or phrases so you can see. And I mean, I've had 20 to 30 of this, I on one page or one word. We've talked about, however, yes, it can be effective, but not all the time. There's other ways to phrase things. That's really the cool thing about the English language. There's always more than one way to phrase anything. Find it. Because again, by doing those things, you're actually turning the reader off. Vary your lengths and structures, cut introductory expressions. Again, that's more of that economy. That's one of the things I like about academic writing. It just gets to the meat of it. You're getting in, you're giving all your information in a logical manner, and you're getting back at, you give your opinion and you go. So I like that. Read aloud what you have written. Where have you heard that before? Cut a first draft by 25% or more. I'm not sure if I totally agree with that one. Again, these are suggestions. If you are a person, now, I do need to say this. I do give page counts, but I don't give them just so, I need 5 pages. I also give page counts because I do know how many pages to sufficiently write something. And if it really is a topic or, like an argument or whatever that is, 5 pages is sufficient. That means I'm not reading 20. I have some students that love to write and they'll blow through the 5 and give me a 10-page paper. Well, I'm not grading 6 pages. I'm grading 5 pages of content, and that's it. And so that's for those people who can't seem to stop and keep going. That may be something that you need to look at. Is that a lot of students? No. Typically I have more of, how do I get this, rather than, oh my gosh. I was actually that person that it wasn't, oh no, I need to write 10 pages. It was like, oh my goodness, I only have 10 pages. And I kind of want you on that thought process, because when you look at it like that, it's much easier to cut out things and economize than it is to try to find something. Okay, so some of you guys need to read that one. Chapter 35, inclusive writing. The whole purpose of this chapter is about respect your reader, things to say, what not to say. Yes, times are changing. What was maybe acceptable 30, 40, 50 years ago, it's not acceptable now. At the end of the day, show respect. Now, some of these are giving you options. They're almost like synonyms, which I love synonyms. It's always, finding some interesting ways to say some things. But I need for you to read this chapter and you need to know it because, especially with everything that's going on in our world right now, do you really want to turn someone off because you weren't really thinking about what you were saying? And you said something carelessly. Words you cannot take back. Once words are out there, you can say I'm sorry all day long, but if they're said or they're written, they're there. It's just like the internet. Put something out there, even if you delete it, it's probably still out there. Okay? Words are the same way. So it's like what toothpaste in a, once you squirt the toothpaste out, can't get the toothpaste back in the bottle or whatever it is. The biggest takeaway is the respect piece of it. Treat people equally, and I think it's one of the things I like about third person. And it makes it where you're more objective when you're talking about things. But even if you are handling, and in some instances, and depending upon your majors, you will be handling sensitive subjects. And so there's more thought process that goes into that. Again, if you always keep that forefront of respecting your reader or whomever will be reading your writing, yeah, you will be on the better end. If there's ever a doubt, it is better to ask someone that you respect to look at it. Okay. Like be one of your professors while you're in school. Obviously, you want to go to your professor while you're in school, but when you get into your professions, usually you will have a mentor, somebody that you respect. Go to them, and it's better to clear that. And I've done that in my professional career, just to make sure that, I want my content and my message to go out, and I don't want to lose my reader for something that was phrased poorly. So just be really careful with that. And that, my lovelies, is it for the reading this week. Like I told you, it's an easy read. It seems like a lot, but it really isn't that much. But I promise you, you will be utilizing this stuff. Okay. Alrighty. So we are good. I will see you guys in class on Wednesday and Thursday. Please do not forget that you do have that discussion board initial thread due by Wednesday evening. And do not forget that you have a quiz this Sunday on this material. And, these quizzes are usually around anywhere from 40 to 50 points. And with how much material this is, you can pretty much expect it's probably at least going to be a 50-point quiz this week. So you guys have a great evening, and I will see you later this week.